Welcome to the Thrive Updated emar medverify presentation. This presentation will detail the usage of the MAR and medication administration via medverify. To access the MAR, select the patient from the whiteboard. Then select the Pharmacy tab. Select 24-hour emar. When accessed via the point-of-care virtual chart, the default display of the MAR is a detailed view of all medications. The current date and time label denotes that data is being documented in real time. If the change date time option is utilized, the date and time selected will display in place of this label. The MAR display dropdown may be used to filter the medications that display. All displays all active medications on the patient's pharmacy profile with a start date and time that falls before or within the date and time range selected. The range may be modified. Due displays all medications that are due based on the acceptable time before and after scheduled administration times to give medications as entered in the medverify control table. Scheduled displays all scheduled medications on the patient's pharmacy profile with an administration that falls within the date and time range selected. PRN displays all active PRN medications on the patient's pharmacy profile with a start date and time that falls before or within the date range selected. IV displays all active IV medications on the patient's pharmacy profile with a start date and time that falls before or within the date and time range selected. The route is used to filter this option. Diabetic record displays all active diabetic record medications on the patient's pharmacy profile with a start date and time that falls before or within the date and time range selected. The medications must be designated for use with the diabetic record in pharmacy information. Linked displays all active linked medications on the patient's pharmacy profile with a start date and time that falls before or within the date and time range selected. The Include Discontinued Medications checkbox may be selected to include medications that were discontinued during the date and time range selected. This option is disabled when the Due filter is selected. The cells in the medication column display medication description, dose or flow rate, units, frequency, route, and instructions. If the patient's own med or non-formulary medication options were used during order entry, these statuses will also be denoted. The information icon may be selected to display order detail for the medication. This will be discussed later in the presentation. The Linked Orders icon displays in the cell for linked orders. Icons will also display for alternating IV orders and alternating IV components orders. Medications display on the MAR in the following order: Stat and times 1, Scheduled, IV, PRN and discontinued, if discontinued orders have been selected to display. The medication cells are color-coded according to the color legend. The color legend may be modified in the emar colors table. If an administration or assessment is overdue, the medication cell and the specific cell containing the scheduled time or administration time will be color-coded. The detailed view of the MAR grid displays date and time columns in 1-hour increments. Date and time columns only display if there is a scheduled time or administration time that falls within the hour for that column. Select Date View to display the MAR grid in columns per day. The due times for scheduled medications display in the cells of the grid per hour or day depending on the view selected. Scheduled times will be replaced by administration times after a medication has been given, omitted, or discontinued. New columns may display to accommodate administration times not associated with a scheduled time, as with PRN orders. The grid may be set to display in chronological or reverse chronological order. Clinical monitoring may be selected to display any alerts received during the order entry process. To administer medications from the whiteboard, select medverify. The patient medication list will display. The patient medication list was specifically designed for medication administration. It offers several filtering options for viewing upcoming medication administrations and may be generated for multiple accounts. Administrations that have been addressed do not display. The available filters are grouped together by rows. The first row is nurse filters. There are two system-selected default filters. The first is My Patients. The list will be determined by the patients that are added to the My Patients list via the whiteboard or the patient list. Department filters found on the second row provide the ability to view all patients' medications for a particular nursing department. Pharmacy order filters may be used to delimit which pharmacy order types populate in the display. Frequency filters allow the list to be delimited by ×1 and stat frequencies. Scheduled filters allow the list to be delimited by due, scheduled, or PRN orders. Due is the second system-selected default filter. Medication administrations that display may be sorted by selecting a column header. To proceed with medication administration, scan the patient's wristband or double-click an administration. If using Photo Verify, the patient's image will display. If the correct patient has been scanned, select OK. If an image is not available for the patient, an override reason must be selected. Select OK to continue. The label Patient Wristband Scanned indicates that the system is in medverify mode. The Change Date Time option is disabled because medication administrations documented using medverify must be documented in real time. Scan the label for the first medication to be administered. Alerts generated when scanning a medication must be addressed before proceeding. Alerts may include issues with dose, route, or time. All alerts will display at once to be addressed. For this example, instructions have been set to auto-display in medverify. The instructions display in the order information screen. Select the Reviewed checkbox and then Continue to proceed. The label Medication Scanned denotes that this administration, once updated, was administered using medverify. The medication field will list the medication name, followed by an icon to access drug information. Use the action line to select if the administration will be given, omitted, or to discontinue the order. The default action is to give the administration. This dose will be omitted. While in medverify mode, the administered time field will always reflect the current date and time. Change date time may be used to back time an administration when administering a medication directly from the EMR. The date and time selected would be displayed in this field. When reviewing an administration, the field will reflect the date and time the administration was addressed. The scheduled date and time with which the administration will be associated displays in the Scheduled Time dropdown. If the display is incorrect, use the dropdown to select the correct scheduled date and time. The dose, unit, and route fields are populated from the information entered during order entry. These fields do not need to be addressed for scheduled medications. The site will be disabled unless the route is intramuscular, subcutaneous, transdermal, or intravenous. For those routes, site is required. If instructions were entered during order entry, they will display below the site field. Additional comments may be entered for the administration if necessary. If an administration requires a reason, as in this example, the comment field will be disabled. Select an omission reason. The options available via the drop-down are set up in the Omit Reasons table and may be modified. When Pain FS is selected, the administration will pull to the pain flow sheet. The back arrow may be selected to exit without saving. Update Pending may be selected to update the information to the MAR. Save View Pending may be selected to save and exit. The administration will list as pending on the MAR and must still be updated. Detail may be selected to display the order detail screen, which will be discussed later in the presentation. Select Results to view results for orders that have been associated with the selected medication. Select the back arrow to exit. If additional medications need to be administered, scan the next label. The medication scanned is an immunization and requires documentation of additional information. Lot number and expiration date must be documented. The remaining immunization fields are optional. Scan the next medication. An alert displays indicating that a site must be documented before the next medication may be scanned. Select OK. The previous order displays, and the field that requires documentation is highlighted in red. Select the site before attempting to scan the next medication. Available sites may be modified using the Site Options table. The next medication may now be scanned. Dose, unit, and site must be documented for IV medications. The next medication may now be scanned. The medication scanned is acetaminophen, and it has previously been administered. This alert is indicating that if this administration is given, the patient will exceed the max dose allowed in the pharmacy control table. Select OK to proceed. A new option, acetaminophen admins, is available on the action bar. Previous administrations display